Welcome to the rare bird update of June 2024 in the Netherlands. Some pretty exciting rare birds were seen, so let's get into it.
On June 1st, it was time for the biggest twitch of the year so far with the Canvasback at the new Driemanspolder. After it was found on the evening of May 31st, but subsequently flushed by a kitesurfer, it went missing for the remainder of the evening, but was refound on the same location the next morning. It quickly flew off but returned later and stayed for the rest of the day. On the 2nd, it was briefly seen there in the morning, but flew off again. In the afternoon, it was refound at Starrevaart, where it was reported until the end of the month. But later, it turned out, the last photo with certainty of the Canvasback was taken on June 14th. All photos after that contain a common pochard. So now the question is, was there actually a Canvasback after June 14th? On Texel, during an excursion with birding breaks, a wadder was found that, due to backlight, couldn't be identified to the correct species directly. First thoughts were going towards a ruff, then to a wood sandpiper, but after photos were shared with other birders, it turned out to be a lesser yellowlegs. The bird stayed overnight, but left the island in the early morning. On the 5th, a lesser yellowlegs was found on the northern isle of the Schelling, likely the same bird as the one from Texel. It was also seen there the next day, but on the 7th it was gone. On the 30th, Sietse Bernardus found one at Achter die Zwarte in the Lauwersmeer, at a very large distance. So large in fact, I didn't even bother of filming it myself. A more common Tringa species is the marsh sandpiper, of which 3 or 4 birds were found. One on the 1st at the Hunsedal by Patrick Scholte. The second one at the Eemspolders, although the exact location wasn't shared. Then on the 28th, Alwin van Lubeck reported an adult at the Bochtjesplaat, and on the 29th, a juvenile was reported at the adjacent Eesemerkeeg. If the age was correctly filled in on both reports, then it must have been 2 different birds, making a total of 4 birds this month. And after a number of flyovers at night, which were detected by sound recorders that ran the entire night, it was finally time for a twitchable stone curlew in the province of Limburg, found by Toby Koppion. It turned out to be a one-day wonder. On the 3rd, one was found on Terschelling by Henk Naus. Other stone curlews this month were nocturnal flyovers at Alblasserdam on the 4th, Noordwijkerhout on the 22nd, and the Verdronken Land van Zefting on the 24th, although the last one was seen by observer Bram Robol when it flew over his head during a crake round in the last light of the day. A leftover from last month was a little crake at the Twijselermiede. Another one was a female at Woensdrecht found by George Stanis. Here I have the recording by George for everyone who isn't familiar with the song of the female. Let's hope both birds find a partner and have some offspring. Baillon's crakes were also still reported, with the bird at the Nieuwkoopse Plassen last heard on the 1st. The 2 birds from Maastricht heard until the 12th, when during the same night one was found in the same province at Montfort. This one staying for the entire month. Others were found at Blokzaal by Jesse Oosterhuis and Jeroen Bredebeek, also on the 12th, and staying until the 18th, when at that night Jeroen Bredebeek found another 2 birds at the Zwarte Water, although in the recording made by Hesse van the East that night, I personally only heard frogs. Then there was also one supposedly sound recorded at the Makkemer Noordwaard, but I only heard some short bursts of a savage warbler on that recording. After not that many white-winged terns in May, there were also a couple in June, with one picked up by sea watchers Pieter Duin and Klaas Ophoff on Texel, 2 birds at Baillon on the 12th and 13th, 2 at the Warkemerwaard on the 16th, found by Sietse Bernardus, and subsequently one from the 21st until the 23rd, and lastly one at Ismar de Putten on the 25th, found by Jelmer Lux. The Iberian chiffchaff from Vaals was last reported on the 13th. The only melodious warbler outside of the 3 southern provinces was a bird at Bredeweg, just on the border of Gelderland and Limburg. Outside of the province of Zeeland there were also a couple of sitting cisticola's, of course at Den Oever, where it has spread for multiple years now. Also the bird from the Eemshaven was reported again on the 1st. Then there was one actually at my local patch. On the last day of the month, at least 2 were found at the salt marshes east to Holwert. It is still early in the year for this species, as most records, at least in the northern part of the country, start showing up in July, August and September. The Amsterdamse waterleidingduinen also struck again, this time with a broad-billed sandpiper that was reported no less than 92 times on Waringin-Dorringnel on the 2nd. A staggering amount of a species not that rare. On the 1st, no short-toed eagles were reported, but on the 2nd one was reported at the Vochtelo Veen. Others were photographed at the Engelbertsdijkvennen on the 13th, Ameide on the 17th, and Stabrechtse Heide on the 19th, but the most popular bird by far was the one from the Balloenveld, which was reported at least 200 times. There were also no less than 4 long-tailed ducks still present in the country, with birds at Terschelling, Hoornstreek, Walkumerwaard and Amuiden. Also, the hooded crows from Schiermonnikoog and Den Haag were reported throughout the entire month. A very good bird for the month of June was the lesser scorp at the Walkumerwaard. First found on the 29th of May by Sitze Bernardus, it was refound in June by Harry de Vries. It later moved a little more to the south to the Bocht of Molkwaar, where it was last reported on the 12th. Then, on the 28th, Buddy van Nieuwenhoven found one or the same bird at the Eemmeer. The bird was already molting into eclipse plumage, so a good chance it will spend the summer here, just like the bird on screen did last year, although it wasn't reported on this site on subsequent days. Although multiple bee-eaters flew over the Netherlands this month also, noteworthy was a group at Vlaardingen, which were found on the evening of the 3rd by Sander van Vliet, who first thought he heard a nectarine warbler imitating. The maximum number reported was 13, but most people reported 9 or 10 birds. The birds were last seen around 9 AM the next morning. The birds were widely twitched, with about 70 reports. The green-winged teal from Oosterwolde turned out to be still there, to the delight of some nocturnal mudlisters who could pick it up on their way back home from the lesser scorp. It was last seen on the 7th.
A quick interruption. If you like the video so far, then hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe, because every month there will be a new rare bird update. And if you find a rare bird yourself for the Netherlands or the Western Palearctic as a whole, and you got some cool video recordings or some beautiful photos which you want to be featured on these kind of videos, then send me an email to the email linked in the description.
On Texel, Job den Hoorn found an American golden plover at the Bull. Many records of this species this year, with the other ones being found on the 4th at the Wiedense Veld, on the 5th by Thijs Glastra on the salt marshes north of Warfum during a bird count, on the 13th at Ameland by Jelle Postma, on the 16th by Roef Mulder at the Bandpolder, and on the 25th at Pearsons by Nout van der Meij, which was last seen on the 30th. Some of these records could concern the same bird, but at least a minimum of 3 birds were involved, as the birds of Texel and Warfum were seen on the same time and the bird from the Bandpolder was in a different plumage. As I already said in the May update, the best time for Squacco heron has yet to come. That wasn't a lie, as there were birds found on the 4th at Campina by Kees Nooyens, which was last seen on the 6th, then one on the 14th at IJmuiden that stayed until the 17th. Then there was a report of one at the Korendijkse Slikken on the 19th, found by Ralph Westhoeven. Finally a bird on the 28th at the Biesbos, although I don't know actually who found it. I didn't check for plumage differences, but based on dates, all these reports could concern the same bird. There were still some European shags present, with 2 birds at Sint-Philipsland and singles at the Oosterse Scheldekering and Veermansplaat. On the 6th, a real mega was found with a sandhill crane by Mark Hoekstein while it flew over the Westplaat. We had good hopes that the bird could be picked up, either somewhere on the ground in that area, or otherwise migrating over other migrant watch sites as people rushed to get to their watch sites to hopefully determine the trajectory of the bird so it could be found somewhere in the evening. This belief was large when a sandhill crane was reported on the 8th at Schagen, Denmark. So we surely have missed the bird as it flew over our country to Denmark. But later it turned out there was already a sandhill crane present near Schagen from early May onwards. So there's still a chance the bird from Mark is still in the country somewhere. But surely it would have been found by now, you would think. But maybe, just maybe, we get a chance at this bird this summer. Far lesser rare were 2 to the west flying glossy ibises picked up in the morning by Gerber Mensink from behind his desk at Oenscherk. In the evening 2 were found on Ameland. Same birds? The birds on Ameland were seen until the 17th. On the 18th 2 were reported at the Schelling, and on the 19th they were reported on Ameland again. So did they have a little vacation? On the 21st, one was found by Buddy van Nieuwenhoven at the Eemspolders. On the 23rd, by Janneke Slot and Dirk Lauterbach at the Walkumerwaard. On the 23rd, by Cassandra van Athene and Koen van Tel at Brakel. And on the 24th, at the Biesbos by Mark, whose surname wasn't stated. It was first seen at the Dordtse Biesbos and then moved on to the Brabantse Biesbos. There were also some Blyth's reed warblers found. On the 6th at Kijkduin by Rinse van der Vliet, and one at Outdoor by Thijs Vijentin van Oele. Then there was a bird at the Lauwersmeer, but except for one report on the 8th at a slightly wrong location, all other observations are now shielded off because of reasons unknown to me. Then on the 21st, Christian Teule found one at the Drentse A, of which I could make these video recordings. On the 7th, until the Terek sandpiper from the Lauwersmeer was reported again after the initial find on May 29th. It was seen both at Achter de Zwarte and the Oude Robbegat. The next day it was also reported, but after that no more reports were made. At the Lauwersmeer at least, because another one was found on the 13th at Blokzaal by Frank de Graaf. On the 7th there was also a find by Maarten Visser of a warbler at the Amsterdamse waterleiding dunes that caused some confusion, as the first sound recordings and views didn't exclude green warbler. But when a lot of twitchers were on site and more calls were heard and recorded, it turned out to be just a greenish warbler. Another one was found on the 11th by Peter Melissen at Zwijndrecht. The last bird is one on an undisclosed location on the Waddenaal of Ameland. Pectoral sandpipers were also present, with a bird found by Pieter de Lijn at the Sophia polder on the 8th, one by Marcel Stienstra on the 21st at the Bochtjesplaat, and the last on the 25th at the Biesbos by Joey Braat, making the Biesbos a fun place to go birding at the end of the month, with beside this species also the aforementioned Glossy ibis and Squacco heron. Sadly, most reports of Comarosa finches are shielded off at waarneming.nl, but based on my Facebook homepage, the location of specifically birds at Oostvoorne are well known. However, the birds found by Koen Stork on Texel during a bicycle round with his family-in-law are shared on public sites. The same goes for little bitterns. Although you can't find exact locations on public websites, by now many locations of breeding sites are well known in both birders and bird photographer groups. And based on my own experience with the bird in the shot and also other cases in the past, they are not really prone to disturbance, as this bird just keeps on calling even though people are walking by at less than 3 meters from the reed at a public footpath. You can, however, see on a 10 square kilometer grid map where birds have been reported this month. Here you can see the maps from waarneming.nl from 2023 and 2024. Dick van Stralen and Mark Hoekstein were doing a survey in the Grevelingen Lake again and picked up a gull-billed tern. Of the spring and summer months, June is definitely the month the species is the hardest to get. Others were reported on the 15th by Koen Stork at Annapolona and 2 on the 18th at the Markermeer. Just a few more weeks before the German breeding birds will return to the sand excavation lakes in Groningen. On the 14th there was an odd report of a Griffin vulture laying in an agricultural field in the province of Zeeland. It couldn't be found later on the day, but the next day it was seen in the same field again after it disappeared again. It was then refound at a construction site sitting on a pile of sand. It was seen flying east in the late afternoon. The next day there was another single report of a bird flying not far from here, but also on the 16th Alan Hofmans saw one flying over Uden. Lastly, there were 2 birds found by Rutger de Vries on the 22nd at the Holtingen Veld. The next day, at around 11 am, one bird was seen flying at some distance. The second bird wasn't reported anymore. Also on the 14th, Hugo Wielman heard the call of a roseate tern and subsequently found an unringed bird at the Putten of Kamperduin, which is actually a spot they turn up almost annually. The next day the bird was gone, but Leonard Verheuvel, who wanted to twitch it, found instead a ringed roseate tern at the same spot. That bird was also present the day after, but from the 17th onwards the colony at the Putten was lacking any roseate terns again. Another bird, however, turned up at the Waterduinen, which is a wetland area adjacent to the well-known watchsite of Breskens. This one was found by Len van der Zande on the 28th. On the 29th, late in the evening, Diederik Kok found yet another one at the Prins Hendrik Zandijk on Texel. Good to know people are checking the sandwich tern colonies thoroughly, as there are quite some rare terns flying around in Europe, with multiple elegant terns in Spain and France, a lesser crested tern in Spain, an African royal tern in France, a least tern in Ireland, and bridled and American black terns in Britain. This month there were also some finds of red-breasted flycatchers, with a twitchable bird at Woerden on the 16th found by Ed Opperman. Others were found on the 20th at Arnhem by myself, and on the 27th at Valtrop by Bram Ubels. The bird from Woerden was a second calendar year bird, one without the red breast. The birds from the 20th and the 27th were only heard singing, so age couldn't be determined. The only record of a corn bunting this month is that of a bird reported by Fred Hustings at Kundeberg on the 18th. On the morning of the 21st, a black stork was found at the Binnenvelden in Wageningen, the same location as the widely twitched marsh sandpiper and sociable lapwing in March. And although the species isn't that rare in the Netherlands, it can be sometimes difficult to twitch as birds are found during the morning but then migrate on soon after. This bird turned out to be a real crowd puller with 75 reports on Waarneming during its 2-day stay. On the 24th, there was an interesting shrike present on Texel, first noticed by Jeroen de Bruin. It most resembles a female hybrid woodchat and redback shrike. Although cases of this hybrid are known, this is the first observation of probably this hybrid in the Netherlands. On the 26th, Bram Ubels found an, as it seems, unranked Baillon teal at the wetland area near Harlingen. The bird had a damaged wing feather and misses some feathers on its back and belly, so it will probably be rejected, as an origin from captivity is not that unlikely. On the 29th, Kaas van de Ploeg found a male blue-winged teal at the Eesemerkeeg. It constantly moved from the northern to the southern part and could sometimes be hard to find between the hundreds of ducks present. It was here for the remainder of the month.